Hello, everyone. The title of this video is Conjunctions. And as you probably know, conjunctions are the most potent of the astrological aspects. Very, very interestingly, simply because if you are acting alone, you are yourself. But if there are at least two of you, and three or even more, then your power is combined, the two of your powers get combined, and all of a sudden it becomes exponentially more and more potent. And if you look around, interesting things are happening in the world as well, at least 3 or 4 interesting things. I'm not mentioning that Biden's son, Hunter Biden, got an escape route. He was provided an escape route because things in the United States are really out of hand. And I'm not even trying to consider what is going on there because it's not good. But in Europe, here are the things that are happening. Number one, they are trying to get rid of the consensual voting system. At the moment, the 27 nation states have to come to a consensus, and the two big, Germany and France, are now trying to devise some sort of method by which they could actually force the tiny nation states, member states, to comply to what they want. And of course, Germany is losing its bigness, and France is a wannabe big. It's very interesting because I have some friends in France, also relatives, and we went there quite a few times. And what I realized is that if you consider the resources of France, they have everything. They really have everything. They could be at the top of the world if they worked half an hour more every day. But instead, they live well. Instead, they enjoy life. Instead, they don't care because they have everything. That's why they don't learn a second language. That's why they don't care for foreigners. So I call them wannabe big, because they will never actually be as big as Germany used to. And Germany's star is declining as well. So that's one thing that's happening. And if this is happening, then we are turning into some sort of empire, or on the verge of becoming an empire. An empire, within an empire, you have provinces, and provinces are never equal. And then the big ones could tell what is happening to the little ones. And I don't want this. I don't think it's a great idea for us. So we need to fight this with any and every weapon we have. Second thing that is happening is that Ursula von der Leyen all of a sudden demands 50 billion euros from the nation states, from the member states, as a new resource for Ukraine. And Ukraine is not even a member. And we haven't even received the monies that are due. And at the same time, they demand more. So again, there are no rules. Rules are there for the little ones to comply, but the big ones can do whatever they want. And this is not, again, not a good piece of advice. Then what else we saw was the farce of the Wagner group, the mercenary group. And it was so funny to see how all of a sudden mainstream media, liberal mainstream media, who hated Prigozhin, who hated Lukashenko, all of a sudden turns them into heroes. And everyone was hoping that, okay, this will end Putin, and this will end the war, and this will do away with Russia as we see it. And no, this was a farce. What happened, to my mind, was very, very simple. The Wagner group arrived in Belarus, and now they are positioned to open a second front against Kiev. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it in the Ukrainian language. To me, Kiev is Kiev. This is how it was pronounced. Anyhow, let's take a look at the chart. And here are the conjunctions on the 28th, I selected a space-time moment because the moon was exactly conjunct with the south node at 13:48 London time, and Mercury was exactly conjunct Juno, and Venus was exactly conjunct Black Moon. So those are the main ones. But let's take a look at the other conjunctions. In Aries, you have Aries and Dark Moon Lilith, and that's exactly what's happening. Dark Moon Lilith is acceptance of the curse. Aries is drastically altered outward circumstances. The powers that be want us to have a full-blown war. They don't realize that it's going to be an atomic war, which no one is going to survive, or very, very few people will survive, but they don't care. They are stupid. In Taurus, Gemini, at the very end of Taurus, very beginning of Gemini, you have Astrea, Sedna, and Vesta. Vesta is the focusing principle. Sedna is creation through dissection. Astrea is the karma breaker, the inner karma breaker and destiny changer. So you can focus on rearranging stuff that is non-working and focus on your destiny, to change your destiny. Mercury is, of course, normal communication and discourse. Juno is alliances, covenants, contracts. Besides being the first lady, yes, in your own natal chart, Juno is first lady, also your spouse, committed relationship, serious relationship, committed in the sense that you are willing to present your partner to the outside world, and it's not a secret relationship as well. So alliances are out in the blue, and the sun is actually highlighting this conjunction backwards, because now the sun, of course, is separating from Juno, and of course Mercury will eventually come to a conjunction with the sun. Maybe I haven't checked it, but anyhow, so Mercury is usually faster than the sun, and eventually they get into a Cazimi conjunction, which I'm going to show you, of course, and also the anything that is coming up to in the next couple of days, which Venus will move into a conjunction with Mars. Actually, if you look after sunset, you can see Venus and Mars in the western horizon. But Venus is exactly conjunct Black Moon Lilith, which is the third installment of the third turning point of the Lilith myth. It's the returning goddess, and the energy is how you can actually become a very strong person who does what is necessary, or what is your duty, and what is decent, and what the time requires. And Mars Pallas Athena is again an applying conjunction. Mars is soon going to be exactly conjunct Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena, besides wisdom, is defense, and Mars is, of course, war. So here you have the two war energies being conjunct. And then the moon has just crossed over Scorpio and is exactly conjunct the south node, highlighting what we bring in from past incarnations, and any knowledge that belongs to the past, to the karmic deep roots, can be highlighted at the moment. So those are the conjunctions. We do have a classic trapeze with angel wings. Classic trapezes have an opposition as their base. In this particular one, you have the nodal axis plus the moon, which is highlighting the whole thing. The sides are two sextiles. One sextile is trans-Pluto and moon south node dimension jump by highlighting what is necessary. And the other side is north node sextiling Mercury and Juno. Again, Mercury Juno is about alliances and how to proceed wisely. The inside are two trines. One is a water trine, and the other one is an earth trine. So this is a very feminine energy inside. And then the top of the trapeze, which is the stage, which is where you want to step up, and in order to tell what you need to, is the trans-Pluto Mercury Juno sextile. So again, you can channel whatever you need and then make the alliances necessary. And the two angel wings have Ceres and Sedna Vesta at their apexes. Again, Sedna Vesta is about focusing on what needs to be rearranged, and Sedna is our home, our nurturing instinct, our nation, our roots, our family. Here are the transcendental objects. On the moon south node, you have Iris, the personal messenger of Hera, goddess Hera. It's the rainbow. So you can again channel down the stuff from above. And Radamanthus, who became the one of the judges of the underworld, because he was the king of Crete, and he created very, very wise and very just laws and decrees. On Mercury Juno, you have a number of asteroids. And again, the magenta, purple magenta stuff is always asteroids, personal energy. The blue ones are TNOs and centaurs, karmic wounds, and how to heal from them, and what special traits and what foliage you gain through them. And the red ones are the fixed stars, which are not part of the solar system, which are outside, out there in the universe, and always represent higher dimensional worlds. So anyhow, so on Mercury Juno, you have Asteria, astrology and tarot and all kinds of divination, which could come in handy now. Atlantis, we should go back there, tap into that energy and understand what we did there wrong and how to avoid total destruction. Artemis, the moon goddess. So again, insight is necessary on a soul level. Patiencia, which is patience, the goddess of patience. We need some sort of patience. Let's not act in a harsh way. But Nagasaki is, of course, one of the asteroids of total disruption. The other one is also going to be there. So nuclear war is around the corner. Unfortunately, the usage of some sort of nuclear weapon is kind of there. On Ceres, you have Demeter, which is her Greek counterpart. So they are the same goddesses of nurturing and the wheat. Osiris, which is the Egyptian underworld god, and Dryphonos, an interesting centaur. He was one of the 12 earth sprites that Zeus asks to guard Heracles' crib. And in order to fulfill this task, this duty, Dryphonos turns himself into a centaur. And this particular centaur describes the complete transformation for the sake of a sacred duty. And you see this happening in most, because that's something that is quite painful as well. So any outer and inner transformation always implies some sort of pain. And for some reason, I think that Dryphonos is linked to gender transformation as well. And let me tell you that I really fear for our children, because this craziness that is happening, especially in the States, especially in Western countries, is really horrible. Every child wants to be the other gender at some point in his development. Every child. I haven't seen anyone who didn't want to become a boy being a girl, or vice versa. I myself, I remember when I was 12 years old, I was 13 maybe. After that, it diminished. But yes, I wanted to be a boy. I constantly wore jeans, and I cut my hair really short. And this whole thing lasted for maybe a couple of months. And later on, of course, my hair grew back, and I started wearing clothes and skirts, and I was back to normal. And to think that a 12-year-old can actually have a right judgment about what or who she or he is, and to enable transition, it's ridiculous. It's not. It's wicked. It's cruel. It's sinful. It's horrible, I think. And Dryphonos is something linked to that. On Mercury Juno, again, you have these asteroids. And what else is there? Okay, yeah, on Vesta, you have Darius, lots of money, tons of money. Okay, follow the money. Okay, in these situations, what we are seeing now, Hel, which is of course the goddess of the underworld in the Norse mythology, and Mirfak, an interesting fixed star, the alpha star of Perseus, and it is linked to challenges. How you are becoming how you can overcome the fear of challenges and how you can actually enjoy challenges. So actually, when Mirfak is prominent, you may become an adrenaline junkie, someone who loves strong and stressful situations where the adrenaline is flying very high, and then it boosts your energy, something like that. And then Sedna is on the Pleiades, of course, and it will be on the Pleiades for quite some time. Here's a karmic trapeze, which is really just a platform, but a bigger platform than usual. You have 3 karmic aspects, 2 semisextiles and 1 quincunx, and besides 2 trines and 1 square. And of course, I put in Mars here because Mars is already separating, but there's still the Mars-Uranus square kind of there. And then with the Venus-Uranus, is always about how you can be committed but free at the same time. And of course, the Black Moon Lilith is about how you are staying in a situation until you need to, but then you are able to leave as well, but then come back as well. And this requires judgment, insight, stamina, and determination. And then, of course, the base of the trapeze is the Chiron Lilith quincunx, which is the first turning point of the Lilith myths, when Lilith revolts against injustice, and Chiron in Aries is what we see how wounding aggression and violence is. And not too many transcendental celestial objects here. On Venus and Black Moon Lilith, you have Hypnos, sleep, of course. And sleep is the brother of death. And as I said, more Somnus, which is the Roman portion or the Roman counterpart of the same pair. It was very, very prominent during the pandemic. And I have a hunch that they are trying to give us some new stuff by the autumn equinox for sure. So we may have a couple of weeks free of virus yet, but once the war is winding down, they are going to do something with us, believe me. And again, the problem is that such a thing like a war or a virus or the environmental crisis and things like that, they trigger the 2 lowest emotions in us, anger and fear. And if you have angry people and frightful people, or people who are having an anxiety problem, you can do with them whatever you want because you can rule them. And here is Hiroshima. I told you that the other big demolition asteroid is also prominent now with Black Moon and Venus. On Mars, you have Hebe, the goddess of youth. And if you look at the war in the Ukraine, it is really terrible what's happening. And the best of Ukrainian young people are getting slaughtered, and it's just such a waste. It's no nation can overcome such a terrible waste, and the United States is responsible for this because they are fighting a proxy war against Russia through Ukrainian young people. And on Uranus, you have Astarte and Metis. Metis is the goddess of wisdom, and Astarte is the strong woman, the strong feminine, the intact feminine, the very strong goddess energy that is still there. So those are the conjunctions for the 28th. And I wish you good luck with everything. Pay attention to what's happening. A lot of things are happening, and it's not what we see, because everyone is talking now about ChatGPT, and this is not a new technology. Let me tell you, this is an old technology. This is a couple of decades old, at least 3 decades old. That's what they say. But now they are giving it us for us to play around with it. And they have been utilizing this. What the press is presenting as reality is never the reality. And the problem is that the real questions are not even asked. There's not even a consensus how to ask those questions that are really important. And our life will depend on how we can ask those questions. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.